Star Wars fans, good news! Ahsoka Season 2 is confirmed to be greenlit. And this news comes from me? As well as my time to shine. Hello. You could say the power level of this news is over 9,000! And yeah, happy Halloween to everybody. It's Halloween. I'm the Prince of All Saiyans. Okay, so yesterday, one of the best sources that I have reached out to me to tell me crazy news about Ahsoka Season 2. The source told me that in no uncertain terms, Ahsoka Season 2 was greenlit, and it was actually going to be shooting at Pinewood over in London as opposed to LA, where most of Season 1 was shot. Now, a little bit after that, My Time to Shine Hello also made mention of the fact that she's heard that Ahsoka Season 2 is happening as well. And so I'm kind of speculating here, but it seems like something happened behind the scenes where they made a decision or maybe doubled down on a decision they had already made. And so sources reached out to me. People reached out to My Time to Shine as well. So it's out there now. Yes, we are getting a Season 2 of Ahsoka. Now, to clarify what exactly is going on, I believe they've always planned to have a second season of Ahsoka. I mean, the season itself seems to be written in a way that's a big setup for a Season 2. But I think there was some speculation that maybe they wouldn't do a Season 2 and go right into the movie. And I also think the viewership numbers for Ahsoka were kind of lower than a lot of us expected. So there was some concern out there from fans, including myself, that we wouldn't get a Season 2 of Ahsoka. And as far as Ahsoka Season 1 is concerned, I'm one of the fans that really enjoyed it despite seeing very clearly a lot of the flaws that the show had. I feel like it opens a little bit too slow, and then its end was a little underwhelming. But the middle stretch of Ahsoka is some of the coolest Star Wars I've ever seen. And despite the show itself, again, having these major flaws, not being a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination, I still thought that what Ahsoka did right with the Force and pushing things forward from a mythos perspective, the lore of Star Wars being pushed forward, the fact that Star Wars fans were actually making theories and speculating and diving deep on lore and trying to figure out what a lot of this stuff meant. I basically think that was all incredible stuff that I wanted to see more of as a Star Wars fan. So I would have been very disappointed if we didn't get a second season of Ahsoka. And alas, it seems like we will get that second season. And as far as the production for the second season, I believe Dave already has a lot of story ideas for what he wants to do in this season. I believe we'll also probably get Mandalorian Season 4, which will build on some of the things that Ahsoka did, and then we will get the second season of Ahsoka after that. But a lot of this is in flux. I mean, part of the issue here is the strikes. The writer strikes went on for a long time. The actors are still technically striking, even though there's some reports that could end very quickly. Other reports suggesting that negotiation is going to go all the way into next year. It really does depend on how long the strikes go for, because I think they do have scripts ready for both Mandalorian Season 4 and Ahsoka Season 2, but there's the possibility that maybe there's just such a crunch, and you know that Disney really wants to get Star Wars movies out in 2026 and 2027, so maybe they forego one of those seasons and do the movie. But I will tell you, for now, it is absolutely the plan to do Mandalorian Season 4 and to do Ahsoka Season 2 and then go into the Filoni movie. And when it comes to them shooting in Pinewood, this is a super big deal because a lot of the Star Wars movies shoot in Pinewood or do some shooting at Pinewood Studios. And Pinewood is just way bigger than a lot of the volume sets and some of the places that they shoot in LA. So I personally think there's two things going on here. Number one, they want to make the scale of Ahsoka Season 2 even bigger. And I would argue actually that Ahsoka Season 1 has some great stuff going on, some great shots within the volume, the way the ships and the Republic and even some of the planets feel, I thought was great. But one of the things that actually caused the show to suffer was the fact that the volume is apparently very hard to edit fighting for. You have to be very select in the way that you do your edits of lightsaber fighting because of the way the volume lights things and the way that you can only shoot from certain angles on it. So I'm thinking they're probably trying to shoot more actual sets so that the lightsaber fighting can be a little bit more on point in Ahsoka Season 2. They're also probably trying to get Dave used to bigger sets, bigger concepts, bigger ideas, because Dave's movie is likely to be shot on Pinewood as well. And so maybe some of the sets that they're going to build for Ahsoka Season 2 and potentially even Mando season 4 will all also be used in the Filoni movie. I'm kind of liking this idea of like building big things at Pinewood, letting Dave learn that facility, like actually expand the scope of what Ahsoka season 2 will be, and then be ready for the Heir to the Empire movie or whatever his movie is going to end up being called. It's also worth mentioning something that Jason Ward brought up in his coverage of Ahsoka season 1, where he said that more or less this season demanded a second season, and Jason had even expressed some concern that some of the back episodes of Ahsoka were perhaps watered down or some awesome elements were taken out of them to save them for a second season, right? Because they may have just come into Ahsoka at one point and said, this was really ambitious. Let's like take some of this stuff off and save it for season 2. And let's just kind of bring this thing home, get Thrawn back into the universe, get Ezra back into the universe, accomplish the goals that we want. And Jason also reported that the creatives behind this thing, which really kind of probably speaks more to just John and Dave, they really want more seasons. They want more television because they have a lot of story to tell before they get to the movie. They're trying to set a very nice stage for what will eventually be a crazy movie that'll probably have a lot of these different characters showing up in one way or another. And lastly in this video, I just want to address this idea that's out there that maybe they should cancel Ahsoka, maybe they should stop making this stuff, because I think at the end of the day, when you look at Ahsoka, considering the numbers were not what I think a lot of us expected, and I think there were a fair number of fans that just didn't like Ahsoka, and even myself, there were things I didn't like about it, right? I overall give the show probably an 8 out of 10, but again, that Force element, that Jedi element, and pushing the brand and franchise forward, I give it a 10 out of 10 for that. It's just the execution wasn't perfect. So there's this sort of feeling, I think, in the Star Wars fandom of like, why are we doing more Ahsoka? I don't want that. I think this is a bad direction. That's a fair feeling that I think a lot of people have. But from Lucasfilm's perspective, I really think if they're looking at just raw numbers and data, and they're looking at how something like Andor performed, they're looking at how even The Mandalorian season 3 saw like a nice, reduced viewership. There were less people checking it out than before. I think Star Wars might just recognize that the brand overall is in a rough spot. So the show itself, Ahsoka, not pulling in the bigger numbers and even getting some of the hate that it got, I don't even think some of that's the show's fault. I think a lot of that is the Kenobi show's fault, Andor's fault, Book of Boba Fett's fault, even Mando season 3's fault, right? A lot of lackluster stuff going on with Lucasfilm when it comes to Disney Plus, and that reduces the audience. The audience just isn't willing to check it out. But they must be seeing something in the data, perhaps just in the social media data, because I think a lot of Star Wars fans, including myself, were talking more about Star Wars than ever. I was being more positive about Star Wars than I had in a long time. I really liked Ahsoka. Really liked it. Despite its flaws, I want that to be the direction that Star Wars goes in. So I think Disney probably looked at the numbers. They don't think a lack of viewership is actually all on this show. It's on just the brand overall and just a lot of other things that are going on, right? And I think they must be seeing something in the data that's making them confident that this is the direction that they should go in. Because again, this whole greenlighting of Ahsoka season 2, you could argue that was always the plan, but I feel like something must have happened for me to get contacted by sources, for my time to shine hello to be talking about this as well. It feels like maybe Lucasfilm was in a holding pattern and they were just looking at the final data, trying to figure out if that's the direction they want to go in. It's also possible Lucasfilm was thinking, let's just go right into the movie, but Dave didn't want to do that. So it seems like they've figured it out and they are going to be moving forward with Ahsoka season 2. So that's the news, a little bit of my speculation on what's going on. Would love to know what you think about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And again, happy Halloween to you all. I hope you're enjoying yourselves. And as I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video.